I was born in 1953, and I still set out my pills by the day of week lid, like a row of soldiers in brittle plastic helmets. Monday stat, Tuesdays, baby aspirin, the blue thing I can't pronounce, the white thing I can't forget. At 71, you talk to objects because they stick around. The kettle listens better than people do. The kettle doesn't lie. I live in a beige townhouse at 18 Lockwood Court, Unice, a place where the paint color on the garage doors goes by a board vote. Inside, there's a kitchen with an old GE refrigerator that hums like a smoker, an aging Mr. Coffee that leaves a ring if I don't rinse the carafe, and a cherry table that belonged to my wife, Linda. She died in February 2022, and after the casserole parade ended and the final lilies slumped into brown water vases, my son, Daniel, stood in the hallway and told me he would handle everything. Executor, he said, the way a boy says captain of something. It's best, Dad. Don't stress, he assured me, his hand on my arm, a comforting grip like a tourniquet. I signed the will in 2019. We had reviewed it together at the dining table, while Linda made tea and fussed with sugar spoons she never used. The will named Daniel as executor because he lived closer than our daughter, Julia, and because he liked spreadsheets and used to lisp about numbers as a kid. Also because I believed in my son. That last part looks funny in hindsight. Belief ages worse than avocado. There's not a huge estate, just a tidy one. House equity, the IRA, and tucked away like a secret sandwich, a collection of savings bonds and municipal bonds totaling $240,000. Not in vino out of thin air. I'd stacked them over decades. Series I and some old E's in my name and joint with Linda, plus munis from a New Jersey issuer I trusted more than most politicians. Most of the physical certificates were in a safe deposit box at First Union on Madison Avenue. Box 217B, with a pair of keys and a ledger card signed in loopy blue strokes from 2003 to 2018. Another portion was in TreasuryDirect, which is less romance, more password. Every January, I'd update a plain spreadsheet, bonds_master_2018.xlsx, later _2020, later just bonds_master.xlsx, because I stopped pretending change meant improvement. Linda called them her sleep bonds, money that let you sleep at night. I called them Don't Tell Dan bonds because he teased me for being old-fashioned. He would say, Dad, no one uses paper anymore. Like cash was a disease. After the funeral, we cleaned Linda's closet in slow, ridiculous motions. I could not decide which of her silk scarves to keep. I kept 5, like a man choosing his team in a draft he didn't understand. Daniel took the box with our documents for safekeeping, a phrase that turns pear-shaped with time. He smiled and said, I'll organize everything, Dad. Executor's duty. He used the word duty like a pillow. By April 2024, the house had settled into its old noises. The dishwasher clicked like arthritic knees. The clock in the living room drifted a minute every month and never apologized. I bought a new pair of Skechers at Kohl's and felt absurdly athletic for a day. On April 12th at 9:07 a.m., I sent Daniel text. Any updates on estate finalization? Need to update my binder. Binder is my other religion, a black zippered thing with tabs. Taxes, bills, medical, Linda. He didn't answer. At 2:45 p.m., he called. Dad, I saw your text, he began. Voice smooth as a new jar of peanut butter. Everything's fine. We're 90% done. I'm waiting on a transcript from the IRS and a 1,099 INT on some bond interest. You know how slow they are. Which bonds? I asked. The TreasuryDirect stuff? Your old E's, he said. They're in my paper file. Paper is not reality, Dad. Don't worry. I'm on it. He was always on it, like a cat on a windowsill, observing effort and calling it action. He stopped by on April 20th with a 6-pack of seltzer he forgot in his own fridge, then pretended he had bought it for me. We ate Costco pot stickers and watched the Knicks lose. When I asked about the safe deposit box, he made a little ugh face, a flinch, as if the topic smelled. I need your key, he said, fidgeting with my TV remote like it insulted him. You took my key in 2022, I answered. No, that was your mailbox key, he said, with a chuckle meant to be charming. Don't worry, Dad. I got it. Everything's fine. Things that are fine do not arrive in threes. They arrive in clean phrases with dates. His fine came covered in dust. In June, I went to First Union to pay my safe deposit fee. The $85 they siphon for the privilege of renting space inside a bank you already trust. The clerk, a woman with bored eyebrows, looked at her screen and said, "You closed box 217, B in December 2023. She said it like we were discussing weather. No, I said, too sharp? I didn't. She tilted her head and made the face people make when they switch lanes. Sir, it shows closure on December 14th, 2023, 3:26 p.m. by authorized co-holder. She slid a paper slip to me. Printed transaction, digital scribble. Who? I asked. It lists Daniel Kaufman, she said. In a way, the world got louder and quieter at once. The HVAC kicked up. A child in the lobby laughed. My ears drank static. Executor, right? She added. That word again, all-purpose disinfectant. At 3:41 p.m., I texted Daniel. Did you close the safe deposit box last December? He replied at 3:46. Yeah, we consolidated everything. I mentioned it. No worries. No worries. If you ever want to lie to an old man, at least don't say no worries. Our worries don't evaporate just because you're bored. If you believe older voices still matter, support this channel with a like and a subscription. On July 3rd, I took my coffee black and bitter as the day before Medicare. I opened my laptop, clicked into bonds_mastered at XLSX, and compared the last thorough inventory from October 2021 to a printout I kept in the Linda tab. The Series I bonds, 15 digital entries, $118,000 principal, plus accrued. The old paper EEs, $78,000 face, more in redemption. The Muni ladder, 4 certificates, $44,000. Total across the spreadsheet. With the small errors life deserves, $240,000 and change. I called TreasuryDirect at the number I had scrawled in pen next to the modem, 844-284-2676. I waited 19 minutes, hearing the sad clarinet music of recorded patience. A woman named Shanice took my call. Her voice was all business in a floral dress. Sir, I can verify your account balances, she said. After I answered the security questions, I always fail first. We went through the ritual. Mother's maiden name Stern, current address, last 3 digits of my routing number, 713. It shows transfers in April 2023 from your account to an account ending in 4421. Owner Daniel Kaufman, Executor. Perform FS 5511. Reissue due to estate settlement. She paused, waiting for the anger to echo. How much? I asked. $117,500 principal plus accrued. Total $126,940.80 on April 18, 2023, she said. Another transfer on May 5, 2023, $9,300. She sounded as if she were reciting grocery items. Tomatoes, bread, betrayal. Thank you, I said, because I am polite, even when I'm being robbed politely. I called Daniel. He declined. He texted, can't talk. Meeting. I wrote, we need to meet. He wrote, this is why you have an executor. Chill, Dad. I got it. Chill, Dad. The phrase you reserve for when you're asleep, behind the wheel. On July 5th, I dug out a Nikon scanner and fed it old documents, one by one, the way you feed a reluctant cat its pills. I found the ledger card for the safe deposit box, a duplicate key receipt from 2010, and a photocopy of 4 Muni certificates. Bergen County Utilities Authority, CUSIP, that looked like a phone number, maturity January 1, 2030. That day, I learned that printing a PDF can feel like prayer. I called First Union's compliance desk. I learned they rarely answer. I learned that leaving a voicemail feels like lighting a candle in a hurricane and hoping it warms your hands. I learned that my son had closed the box with an executor letter and that the clerk said he was very knowledgeable. Thieves are always knowledgeable. The poor are merely desperate. On August 1st, I hired an auditor. It sounds grander than it was. He was a one-man firm in a low-rent building over a nail salon on Maple Avenue. Bennett Forensics, PLLC, on frosted glass. Inside, a fan that rattled, a spider plant performing trio. The man himself, Arthur Bennett, was pale, thin, mid-50s, hair like steel wool. He wore a tie that had outlived 2 marriages. He shook my hand like we were both surgeons. I need you to tell me where my bonds went, I said. I laid out the binder, tab by tab, like an autopsy. My son is executor. Transfers happened without my consent. He nodded and pushed a legal pad across to me. Retainer is $3,000. Hourly, $220. I anticipate 20 hours initially. We'll start with the list you have and build a chain of custody. Do we have a chance? I asked. Every dollar leaves footprints, he said, and smiled just a bit. It was a small, professional smile, Saturn's ring of smiles. Your son's careers? Marketing, I said. He sells software by being handsome. Being handsome is often cash-intensive, he muttered. He snapped my documents with his phone, just enough speed to show comfort without arrogance. We'll subpoena if needed. For now, we request, we compare, we match. Dates will be your allies. They are dumb and honest. I went home with a receipt and a bruise in waiting. For the next week, Bennett sent me short emails that felt like tiny missiles. Requested bank statements from First Union for accounts ending 2238, 1194, August 2022 to present. TreasuryDirect confirmed reissue to 4,421 Kaufman Daniel. Attached PDF. Spoke with branch manager. Box 217B, they will provide log. He was not sentimental. He was the opposite of Daniel. On August 14th, he called me at 4:12 p.m. We have a pattern, he said. I heard the clink of a mug on ceramic. Transfers, April, May 2023, from TreasuryDirect to Daniel's personal at First Union 4421. Then wire out on May 12, 2023, $80,000 to Vanguard Brokerage Account 62 to 4,531. Owner Daniel Kaufman. Memo home ring. He paused. Your Munis. Liquidated on deck 14, 2023. Proceeds $43,718.70 net. Deposited to same 4421. Wire out Jan 8, 2024. $40,000 to Sunrise Montessori Foundation. Apparently the private school where your grandson is enrolled. I sat at the table and stared at a blood orange I had intended to peel. Fruit timed out, I guess. He used my bonds for tuition? I asked quietly. It appears so, Bennett said. Also 2 ATM withdrawals, that month totaling $1,500. Executor fees are a thing, but this is not that thing. Can we get it back? That depends on appetite, he said. Do you want to open a formal dispute? You can demand an accounting under the will and under NJ law. You can also file a police report, but that escalates. Family is tender. My son used tenderness as cover, I said. I heard my voice and didn't recognize it. It had a wire in it. Then we proceed, he said. One more note. He left fingerprints. He called TreasuryDirect from his own phone April 12, 2023. Recorded line. We can request a call. I'd like to hear it, I said. And now my voice was someone else's entirely. Thanksgiving came late that year. November 28, 2024. Julia insisted we do it at my place because my oven still knows turkey. I spent the morning cleaning. Old English on the table legs. Windex on the glass-framed photos. The photos, weddings, graduations, awkward Christmas sweaters, were all evidence for a jury that would never be empaneled. I baked a pie from frozen because Linda's recipe made me cry. I set out the good plates. The turkey went in at 9:30 at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, with a blanket of foil and a hope that button timers work on birds as well as bombs. At 1:40 p.m., the doorbell rang. Daniel walked in carrying a store bag with a pumpkin pie that had sweated in its plastic clamshell. He wore a sweater that said he had a wife who shopped for him. He kissed my cheek and scanned the room like an app scanning a QR code. Smells amazing, Dad, he said, teeth white, eyes pale. The grandson charged past him and dove at my knees. Grandpa, he yelled, which made me feel like a verb. We ate like civilians. I had enough on my plate to feed 6 regrets. Conversation buzzed about things that required no verbs. Football, weather, a cousin's new dog. Daniel carved. A performance he always enjoyed. The blade flashing. The turkey yielding. He smiled that host smile even though it wasn't his house. He has always been good at other people's credit. Dessert was the cue I had given myself. I stood. I picked up the black binder. This was not a movie. My hand shook. My throat tried to close. I did it anyway. Before pie, I began, I have something to share. The room did the thing rooms do. A hush that quivered, a kinetic quiet. Daniel's smile hung an inch too long, like a painting crooked by a quarter inch. "Dad, what's up?" he asked, light, preemptively affable. I opened the binder to the tab that said Linda. Inside, a copy of the will, the bond inventory, and Bennett's summary. I slid across the table a printed page. TreasuryDirect transfer confirmation, April 18th, 2023. $126. 940.80 to account 4421 owner. Daniel Kaufman, Executor. Another page. Safe deposit box closure, December 14th, 2023. Box 217B, authorized. Daniel Kaufman. Another. Wire. May 12th, 2023, $80,000, Vanguard memo, Home Reno. Another. Wire, January 8th, 2024, $40,000, Sunrise Montessori Foundation. Memo. Spring tuition. His smile fought for its life and lost. You could see it go. First the eyes, then the cheeks, then the lips surrendered. He tried to pick it back up with a chuckle. "Dad," he said, "I can explain." "Please," I said, "explain to us all. Start with why my bonds now pay for your granite countertops. There are silences you can cut on a carving board." This was one. Julia stared at him as if he had just walked into traffic. His wife shifted in her chair, hand fluttering to her necklace, wedding ring glinting like an alibi. "It was consolidation," he said, reaching for that word again. "I'm executor. I had to manage assets. And the school, well, we'll settle it all when we close the estate. The tax consequences. Dad, you don't know how complicated this stuff is. So teach me," I said, voice even. "Teach me why the executor transfers principal into his own checking account. Teach me why muni proceeds wire to your brokerage. Teach me why a safe deposit box closes without the living owner present. Teach me why I learned from a bank teller that my life got smaller." He lifted his hands, palms up. He was healer now. "We're family," he said. "Exactly," I said. "And family is why I didn't bring a police officer today. I brought an auditor." Bennett cleared his throat from the doorway. He had come at my invitation and waited in the hall at 3:00 p.m. like a man about to fix a leak. He stepped in, introduced himself to the room with a nod, placed a small black speaker on the table, and pressed play. The voice came thin but intact. "TreasuryDirect, this is Monica. How can I help?" Then Daniel's voice, dated April 12, 2023, 11:18 a.m., cheery as a holiday ad. "Hi. Yes, I'm executor for my father, Arnold Kaufman. I have the FS form here, and we need these reissued to my account to manage the estate." Julia whispered, "Oh my God." His wife's face pinched into a shape that looked like a receipt when it's been in a dryer too long. When the clip ended, I put the speaker in my palm like a rock. "I'll need an accounting," I said. "By December 10th, full. Every dollar. If I don't have it, you'll get served." "Dad," he said, voice small now. "Let's not do this here." "You did this here," I said. "You did this to here." The pumpkin pie had sweat itself into submission. No one wanted it. On December 12th, the process server knocked at Daniel's door at 7:41 a.m. Montclair. A stucco house with tasteful shutters and a mortgage like a boa constrictor. He handed Daniel a stack. Demand for accounting. Petition to compel. Notice of intent to surcharge. The law has a smug vocabulary when it wants to. Daniel signed for it with his last name only, as if that shrank it. He called me at 8:03. "You didn't have to go nuclear," he said, voice deeply inconvenienced. "I gave you a date," I said. "You missed it." He retained a lawyer, a man who wore blue suits with a sheen. In January, we sat in a gray conference room at Silber and Klein for 100 Park Street. Conference table scarred with the ghosts of elbows. His lawyer used the phrases good faith and miscommunication and temporary commingling, as if words could launder money. Bennett sat beside me and simply slid exhibits into the light. The transfer confirmations, the wire memos, the closure logs. Dates, amounts, headings. Honest little soldiers. "We propose settlement," the blue suit said. "Executor fee adjustment. Repayment schedule at a favorable rate. No admission of wrongdoing. This avoids embarrassment." "Whose?" I asked. "Everyone's," he said, and looked at me like a man who sold umbrellas in the rain. "Well, think about it," I said, because I am old-fashioned. Also because by then, Bennett had found a thing. "Arthur?" I asked later in the parking garage. the place where echoes eat words. He told me about the USPS record, a certified mailing for my address on June 6, 2023 to TreasuryDirect, containing the FS form he had mentioned on the call. Only the USPS scan location said Montclair 07042. Daniel zip, not mine. Someone had mailed it from his post office, not mine. A small thing. The small things glow. Also, Bennett added, I have an email from his Gmail to the Sunrise Montessori bursar, June 20th, 2023. Subject, tuition wire. Attaching a bank screenshot with my client's bond proceeds. It's illegal? That's for a judge. It's slimy? Beyond debate. We didn't go nuclear. We went procedural. Bennett drafted a supplemental demand. He included the USPS scan. He included the bursar email. He CC'd Blue Suit, and the effect was immediate. Like salt on a slug. The hearing for the accounting was set for March 4, 2025, 9:30 a.m., Essex County Circuit Court. A hallway full of exhausted people clutching manila folders. The smell of HVAC and old carpet. A clock 3 minutes slow. We sat at a council table. Me, Arthur, his thin tie square with a stubbornness I recognized. Daniel, head down, Blue Suit whispering. The judge, a woman in her 60s with eyes that looked through paper, took the bench. In the matter of estate of Linda Kaufman, she said. Voices thin, chairs shifted. We were a file number now. Paper had eaten our names. Blue Suit started with this is a family matter. The prelude. The judge lifted a hand. It's also a fiduciary matter, she said crisp. We are here on a motion to compel an accounting and for surcharge. Arthur rose and did not soar. He walked. He laid out the dates that do not lie. April 18th, 2023 transfer. May 5th top off. December 14th box closure. January 8th tuition wire. He did not rage. He did not moralize. He let the memos speak. The judge read. She fanned the pages as if cooling herself. Mr. Kaufman, she turned to my son. Did you transfer your father's bonds into an account solely in your name? I did, Your Honor, he said small. But it was an administrative step. Did you wire proceeds to pay for your personal expenses? School, he said, as if the syllable was a charm. For my child. She waited. It seems small, the way a judge can wait, but it can take the air out of you. Did you have authorization from the court or consent from the beneficiary? No, he said. The judge wrote something. It looked like a sentence. I am ordering a full accounting within 30 days, with supporting bank records. I am suspending your executor powers, pending review. I am appointing a temporary administrator. I am reserving on surcharge and attorney's fees. Blue Suit started to rise, mouth pre-open. She did not look at him. Additionally, return of any liquid assets traceable to these proceeds to the estate account within 10 days, she said, or you will be held in contempt. She looked at me then for a second, and in that second I think she saw the kettle, the pills, the stupid seltzer. Mr. Kaufman, she said, I'm sorry you're here. She meant the older one. She meant me. Outside, a reporter for a local legal blog I'd never heard of asked if I wanted to comment. I said, no, I did not want to become someone's clickbait. My life had enough pictures already. The transfer back appeared on March 10th. $80,000 from Vanguard to the estate account. March 11th. $42,100 from First Union to estate. March 12th. $9,300 from an account I hadn't known of. Ashton Savings 55 AT memo rectification. That word again. Rectify my trust, would you? On March 13th came a thin email from Daniel. Dad, please, can we talk? He used dashes because periods are too honest. We met at a diner on Bloomfield Avenue because diners serve reconciliation with fries. I ordered meatloaf. He ordered nothing, which felt accusatory. He had lost weight. Or maybe he had lost some of his armor. He started with, I never meant, and I stopped him. Intent is what people who got caught talk about, I said. An accountant talks about entries. Mom would, he tried. Don't, I said, and my voice finally boiled. It could burn a tongue. Don't resurrect her to bury me. He cried. Small, contained sobs that did not touch his face. I was drowning, he said. The house needed work. The school it's expensive. I thought I could juggle. I thought I'd make a big commission in Q3 and put it back, and no one would see the seam. You thought I would die, I said. He winced. There it was. You thought you could settle with Julia after a nice memorial and no pesky questions from the man who labeled his sock drawer. You thought about money like a magician does, misdirection, distraction, then nothing in the hat. He reached toward my hand. I left mine under the table. He withdrew. The waitress refilled my coffee. The light bounced off the sugar packets like a bad memory. I can make payments, he said. I will make this right. You won't, I said. That's what the order is for. He nodded. Then he said a thing that made me both pity and loathe him. Dad, if this goes on, the school might expel Max. He meant my grandson. He used the boy like a human shield. I have already called the school, I said, and this was the twist small enough to be comedic and mean enough to be clean. I offered to prepay the next year's tuition for my funds directly, on the condition they refund what was paid from any account not in my name. They agreed. They liked the phrase direct pay more the executor. Sunrise Montessori sent a full refund to the estate on March 20th. $40,000, memo tuition reversal. They kept my check for the next year and sent a thank you note with a sticker that had a smiling sun. He blinked. You went around me, he said. I went to the owner of the money, I answered. He had no reply for that because grammar was not his ally. The temporary administrator's report arrived in April. It read like a weather report. Fronts, patterns, cumulonimbus of bad choices. She recommended surcharge of $12,600 for lost interest and $9,800 for Arthur's fees. On April 22nd, the judge ordered it. Daniel objected. The objection sank like a rock. He cut a cashier's check. $22,400 to the estate. The check looked like any other. Money has no memory. People do. In May, I sat again at my table with a stack of reconciled statements, a cup of coffee from a fresh Mr. Coffee. I had splurged on a programmable one, $49.99, because mornings deserve respect, and a file labeled close. I watched the numbers align. I watched the hole fill up like a pothole after storm, asphalt smooth, insult buried. In June, Julia came over with a bag of bagels and sat on the steps the way Linda used to. Are you okay? She asked. No, I said, and then yes. Both were true. We do not choose the tests we get, I said, only the pencils we bring. She laughed and cried and wiped her eyes on one of Linda's scarves I'd kept, the blue one with little white anchors. Are you going to forgive him? She asked, a question that sits in the middle of the room and gets heavy. I will forgive him in the sense that I will not use his name as a curse, I said. I will forgive him in the sense that I will not seek to hurt him more. I will not forgive him in the sense that I will ever again believe him without paper. In July, I took the bonds, the legitimate ones, and set up an annuity that pays out small, predictable sums that agree with my morning pills. I left a letter in the Linda tab that reads like a manual. If I am gone, Julia is executor. If anyone uses the word consolidate, ask for it in writing. If anyone smiles too early, wait. I still see Daniel. We exist, two planets in the same solar system, orbits adjusted. He comes alone sometimes. His smile now is smaller, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It fits his face. On August 5th, 2025 at 10:06 a.m., I received an email from Arthur. Subject final. He attached a one-page statement. Estate of Linda Kaufman, restitution complete. At the bottom he had typed, every dollar leaves footprints. I printed it and slid it into the binder, into the Linda tab, where it belongs. I made a sandwich, turkey, lettuce, mustard that bites back, and ate it over the sink like a bachelor, like a survivor. At 11:15 a.m., the kettle sang. I poured, stirred, sat. Outside, the yard hummed in green, bees moving like commas. I am not noble. I am not wise. I am a man with a binder. I am a man who paid for a school he didn't choose, for a kitchen he won't eat in, and for an auditor who brought me my life back in small numbered pages. Sometimes I think about the moment at the table when his smile died. It was a mercy killing. Smiles are not supposed to suffocate truth. They are supposed to light rooms. And now, when I find myself tempted to cushion the hard thing with a soft word, I think of granite, of wire memos, of a pumpkin pie sweating in its plastic shell. I think of the judge's pen moving like a gavel. I think of Arthur's thin tie, and patient eyes. I think of Linda's blue scarf, anchors, tiny and stubborn. I think of the kettle listening better than people do. And I say the hard thing plainly. The next time someone says executor, I will ask to see the receipts.